On my last poll where I asked my audience what we should turn into a fighting game next, fast food mascots was the winner, and that's understandable. Even though we only see these characters as still images holding food or in 30-second intervals in commercials, the most memorable ones have to show so much personality to stay relevant for so long. You could just imagine them stepping into the ring, or sometimes you just want to see famous pop culture icons duke it out. As with my previous What If videos, we'll be basing these characters' potential movesets on media they've been in combined with existing fighting game moves and mechanics. We'll also be considering the food served at these fast food places for movesets. I'd imagine this fighting game to be like a faster paced 2D fighter similar to BlazBlue. The characters can have some super moves and a special trait based on their restaurant or history that functions as a unique move or mechanic for each character, just like a BlazBlue or Injustice trait. Well, the BlazBlue traits are actually called drives, but what I'm getting at is special abilities or moves tied to a specific button on the controller that vary from fighter to fighter. There will be one mascot per franchise on this fake roster, except McDonald's, which will get 4 reps since McDonaldland is one hell of a campaign. Finally, to co-host with me, I'll be joined virtually by my mod crew, Emily.
Hello.
Michelle.
What's good, fam?
And Doug.
Hey.
Since we're scattered around the country in real life, we're doing this as a roundtable discussion over a Zoom call, so some of our sound qualities may vary, but hopefully our commentary will be equally as excellent. Now, let's see if it's a good or bad idea to give fast food mascots their own fighting game. With Ronald McDonald probably being the most well-known fast food mascot, he would fit as the jack-of-all-trades Shoto-style moveset, with a stronger focus on mid and long-range attacks. He's a tall man, so he can cover a lot of distance with his limbs. Give him the range of a basic Soul Calibur character, like Sophidia or Mitsurugi, only the sword is just a bunch of his wacky moves. Ronald is always doing a bunch of funky poses, so I could see those poses being his various normal attacks. Perhaps his moves would have some startup to make them not as good super close up, but really good as sort of a mid-range lanky space control. Not gonna lie though, I mostly think of his run run roo poses as what his attacks would look like, so his physical combos would have a Marvel vs. Capcom Phoenix Wright vibe to accentuate his cartooniness. His projectiles could involve some of his McDonaldland buddies coming out to help, at least the ones that aren't on the roster. Specifically, the Marching Fry Guys and those sentient chicken nugget characters. They could function like Peacock's bombs from Skullgirls or Strider Hiryu's Mecha Pets, where the light, medium, and heavy attacks are coming at different speeds or angles. The light projectile could be a Fry Guy slowly skipping along, the medium could be one running, and the heavy could be one jumping at an arc for some anti-air potential. And then he could have a super move variation like Strider's Legion, where a bunch of Fry Guys come running out as sort of a big beam scattershot projectile. The McNugget characters would be involved with Ronald's trait. Since he mainly advertises Happy Meals, that would be his trait. It would be like Harley Quinn's trait in the first Injustice game, where she would pull out one of 3 randomized items, with Ronald's 3 items being the 3 main Happy Meal selections: hamburger, cheeseburger, and McNuggets. If he pulls the McNugget buddies, they could give him access to 4 nuggets that could act as mini projectiles. They could be used for combo extension, pressure, or a projectile to interrupt the opponent's moves, similar to Batman's mechanical bat projectiles as his trait in Injustice. If that would be too imbalanced, the McNuggets could just be like the dynamite in Harley's trait, where it's a one-off projectile that you have to use right away. As for the 2 different kinds of burgers in Ronald's trait, they would be like the rose and picture items of the Harley trait. One burger could recover a bit of health like the rose, and the other could lead to a small attack boost for a short period of time like the picture. I guess the cheeseburger can be the attack boost one, since the added cheese gives Ronald the extra calcium boost he needs to fight.
And I think Ronald's outro would be him sliding across a bench, because I don't know if anyone else remembers, but back in the day, some McDonald's locations had a little statue of Ronald sitting on a bench with his arms over the back of the bench and his legs crossed. Or that could be a good fatality, too.
Actually, I wasn't planning on fatalities to be in this game, since these mascots are all pretty friendly looking and wouldn't kill anyone.
Actually, I think Ronald McDonald would totally murder someone. First of all, he's a clown. And do you know how many horror movies there are with clowns murders people? Like, hello, It, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Like, there's a whole genre of clowns killing people. Basically, Ronald McDonald. I rest my case.
Oh, okay then. Carry on.
Shang Tsung wins. Fatality.
Grimace from McDonald's is built like a tank, and that's how I'd imagine he'd play. Slow, hard-hitting attacks that have a lot of armor so he can barrel through any puny attacks. I'd imagine a Jax moveset from Mortal Kombat 9, where Grimace would have pseudo-grappling abilities, but also just punch through anything because he's so strong. I don't think anyone knows what Grimace actually is, so I can't explain any logic for why he would do this. The main reason I get a grappler vibe from Grimace is because he used to have 4 arms when he was first portrayed as an evil McDonaldland character.
Oh my god, he was even more of a monster.
I wouldn't say the extra arms should be his trait, but I think they should come out during certain attacks or combo strings as a nod to his history and to assist his grappling skills. For example, the lower arms could emerge for a command grab that only hits a ducking opponent.
Yeah, I'm imagining something like Kintaro or Goro with that, where, you know, they lift you up and slap you around a little bit, maybe give them a little shimmy.
I see him more of just like a Shiva character with just jumping up and down, but what happens is instead of a person, a broken McFlurry machine comes, and it's like Grimace is trying to get the McFlurry machine to work.
Actually, I was thinking the ice cream machine could be his trait. Grimace's main focus was milkshake thievery when he was introduced, so that's his key product. Since we always hear about how the ice cream machine is broken at McDonald's, Grimace could summon an ice cream machine and work on it to fix it as his trait. It could be like how Captain Cold or Sinestro hold down their trait button to work on their weapon until a meter fills up to show that it's working, enabling some new skills. When Grimace has the ice cream machine up and running, maybe he can have an ice cream beam or make milkshakes that can act as slipping hazards, but he'll only have the machine up for a set period of time before it goes down again, so you best use it quickly.
So here's my idea for all McDonald's characters is they all have an X-ray type move, like in Mortal Kombat, where they just crush somebody's rib and they call it the McRib Crusher.
I really like that, Michelle. I think there could be another move too called the Shamrock Shake, since we're going with the, limited edition or seasonal McDonald's fare.
Kano wins.
I feel like the Hamburglar from McDonald's would be a one-note character in a fighting game because he really only has one defined character trait. He burgles hams. He's a bandit of sorts, so I could see him with some bandit-style moves. Maybe give him a stealth ninja slide like a Buki, or a smoke bomb teleport assault, or perhaps a move that allows him to turn invisible so he can steal those sweet, sweet hamburgers. Outside of that, burgers galore as a zoner. I just imagine him throwing burgers at every angle imaginable, rolling them, setting them as stage hazards like bombs to trip up the opponent, pretty standard zoning stuff. I'd imagine his trait would be like New 13's Drive in BlazBlue, where you push her drive button and boom, you have single button projectiles, and the projectiles are of course burgers.
I don't know, I see him kind of as just a really quirky character with maybe some joke, like a joke hammer or like a fake gun, like maybe Harley Quinn in Justice, something like that.
This will be a blast.
This will be a blast! Lighten up, will ya?
Rounding out the McDonald's entries is Birdie. As a kid, I never knew what she was advertising, but like Grimace, I accepted her as a part of the gang. Later I learned that she was initially made to advertise McDonald's breakfast, so a breakfast moveset it is. She can throw a McMuffin as an attack, and I don't really know what else she could do with the breakfast food. I would just make her a flight-based character. We don't see too many avian characters in fighting games, so she could be part of an exclusive club. Use those wings. My mind goes to Hawkgirl in Injustice, where the flight was her trait, allowing her to roam freely in the air briefly at the push of a button. Birdie could do the same, using the flight for combo extension or air control to keep those jumpy opponents at bay. There's plenty she could do in the air, like throw a McMuffin.
I see her more as like a Morrigan kind of character, especially in a Marvel vs. Capcom. She could fly with her mighty wings.
Oh, Morgan. So Birdie would be a complex character with flight cancels. Soul Fist cancel into flight cancel into Soul Fist. Birdie is gonna throw so many McMuffins now.
I love the eggs. The eggs make me so happy.
The King from Burger King is a stealthy kinda guy. In his debut commercials, he would just appear next to someone in a startling fashion and then calmly offer them a burger or some other kind of Burger King product. He even had an Xbox 360 game based on this concept. Because of that, I could see him having a light-speed counter move akin to Jury from Street Fighter, where the King will go into his sneak pose, and then when you hit him, he'll dash to the other side or above the opponent without taking any damage, allowing him to follow up with some attacks of burger offering goodness. Or perhaps it could be like Dudley's cross counter, where the King would dash through the opponent with a plate in hand if the counter is successful. He's just so excited to give you a Whopper.
Yeah, I really like the sneakiness as well. I feel like that needs to, get in there. Not so much an attack, but I feel like his forward momentum or his walking animation, not dash, but his walking animation should be like the tiptoe sneak with hands up in the air that he does in the commercials.
Yeah, surprisingly, I think Makoto from Street Fighter would be a good fit for how he'd play. She has a slow walk speed coupled with her insanely fast dash to catch opponents off guard. Her speedy punch could be another way to implement his food offering attack.
I thought exactly that. Like, it's a slow tiptoe, but then if you go into a dash, it's got a pretty quick dash and get in close.
And perhaps his trait could involve changing out the food that appears on the plate that he offers you. The default food would be a Whopper for standard damage, but he could load a few different foods for different effects, like how Green Arrow can load a few different arrows for different effects. Nuggets could do more chip damage like Green Arrow's fire arrows, a breakfast sandwich could leave the opponent in a brief stagger state since you're groggy in the morning, and perhaps a few onion rings can ring the opponent in to hold them in place.
Do you guys think he would be a fast character?
I think he would have a rushdown moveset overall. He has the tools to get in close, and once he's in there, he's annoying, but he doesn't have much to fight with at a distance. In fact, the 1980s King mascot had a magic ring that would transport him and kids to Burger King, so I feel like that could be implemented in his moveset.
So clearly there's a transport move there with the ring.
Oh, he's got a teleport. Yes.
Exactly, but to balance out how good he would be up close, it should have a slow recovery, like Bison's teleport. It would be situational. Or it could be like Taki or Natsu's teleport from Soul Calibur. It could act as a stance that you can do moves out of to surprise your opponent, or use it to advance on your opponent to emulate his sneakiness. Even though this character just appears on the logo, it should be obvious who the rep would be for Wendys on this roster.
Dave Thomas, founder of Wendys.
No, it's Wendy.
Who the hell's Wendy? I'm kidding.
I feel like Wendy would be one of those characters that goes... since she's always so cocky on the Twitter account, because Kareen from Street Fighter is the quintessential... character, I could see Wendy having some cool wreckage chains like Kareen, but Wendy's real power would have to be fire, since she's a master of roasting. Regardless of your opinion of the Wendy's Twitter roasts, it's something that the restaurant chain is known for nowadays. And the roasting can translate over to the food in her moveset, since I think of spicy chicken sandwiches when Wendy's comes to mind. Maybe her trait would involve eating a spicy chicken sandwich, and it acts as a devil trigger for her. The sandwich can unlock some new moves that have a cooldown period before she can use them again. It could grant her fire breath or fire hands, or just surround her and fire for proximity damage that she normally wouldn't be able to do. She can turn the whole screen into pyromania.
And also, her final move, like her fatality, could be called the Biggie.
Wait, are we talking the Biggie or the modern Biggie bag?
I just want to include just like a Biggie something because that's what they were known for in the 90s.
Colonel Sanders, founder and mascot of Kentucky Fried Chicken, would have some elder master power. He may look like a kindly old man, but he can dish out 11 kinds of herbs and whoop ass.
Yeah, I was thinking that he could just do like a pocket sand kind of thing
Same.
with the 11 herbs and spices.
I really like the idea of turning the 11 spices into some kind of weapon.
It's like Sonya's dust that she uses in Mortal Kombat.
That's who it is. I was trying to think of who I would want to emulate, but I don't want to make an ass of myself by saying the wrong person.
Yeah, don't make an ass out of you and me.
The pocket spices could totally be a stun move. I could actually see it as a good way to restand opponents. It would be something like Bo Raicho's fart in Mortal Kombat X that could restand and then follow up with his crazy staff skills. Colonel Sanders has been portrayed with a cane before, so I could see him pulling out some smooth moves with his cane like other Elder Masters, such as Bo or Nicotine from Samurai Showdown. Another thing KFC is known for are the dipping dipping sauces. Perhaps he could have a trait that would work with a popcorn chicken projectile, and the sauces give the projectile certain properties, like how Lobo has a trait in Injustice where he loads nuclear bullets that extend the range of his gunshots for a few uses. The Colonel can dip the popcorn chicken into different sauces for various results and hold the effect until he's ready to release them, like the elements in Nine's Drive and BlazBlue. Barbecue sauce could cause them to stick, lingering on the field as traps. Honey mustard could turn the nuggets into tenders and give the projectiles more range like the Lobo gun. And the ranch dipping sauce? I've never gotten it before, so I can't think of anything. So let's go with increasing projectile speed.
I feel like there's gotta be a bucket though.
Maybe after you do like your fatality and the opponent's body just explodes, it all just ends up in a bucket.
Yeah, he's also gotta lick his fingers at some point because it's finger licking good.
Yep, that could be the end. Or he could say, here's a bucket of breasts and thighs for you.
Breasts and thighs.
I was thinking the bucket could be like Frank West's Marvel vs. Capcom Servbot head, where it was an anti-air super move that he could put over the head of his opponent and then fling them around as they can't see. Finally, since so many actors play the Colonel in modern ads, they should all take part in his ultimate move. It should be like Athena's in King of Fighters 13, where every one of her past appearances comes out for the ultimate beatdown.
KO! You win!
完璧でしょ
We're bringing back an old mascot for this one with the Taco Bell Chihuahua. Since this is a throwback mascot, it should have some throwback products.
R.I.P. Mexican pizza. Maybe his special power can be resurrecting that.
Or any of the volcano sauces. I swear the second they bring that volcano burrito back, I will be in line because that was literal fire.
So good. I do agree with that.
Alright, so he can have a projectile like Kung Lao's hat that's a Mexican pizza, and a high arc projectile like Rocket Raccoon's oil bomb that can be volcano sauce. And then, to show how the volcano sauce doesn't play around, he can light it on fire to have a flame carpet effect like Rocket does.
Can Baja Blast be involved somehow? I don't know how fighting game creators make it work.
A tidal wave of Baja Blast, maybe?
I would love to die that way.
And you have like the little chihuahua just like surfing on it.
Oh yeah, that's cute.
The dog seems like a good space control character that's hard to hit because of its height. He would best compare to Iggy from the JoJo's fighting game or Rocket Raccoon in Marvel vs. Capcom, where the Chihuahua would have lots of good ranged attacks like the ones that we brought up to make up for his weaker close-up attacks. Maybe give the Chihuahua a stand as a trait to make him just like Iggy. He can summon it like Relius's Nirvana, make it a giant bell. It can release nacho cheese and chalupas, ring loudly, and spout catchphrases.
Yo quiero Taco Bell.
We sure do like to live Moss on this channel.
Bong. That was the Taco Bell bell. I love explaining unfunny jokes to make them less funny.
Fred the Baker used to be the Dunkin Donuts mascot in the 80s and 90s, and I love chefs in fighting games, so let's put him in. He actually conflicts with Dunkin's current selling targets since they're mostly focused on coffee products now instead of donuts and pastries, but I would still say Fred has to focus on donut-themed combat, especially since his catchphrase was, "Time to make the donuts."
Time to make the donuts.
I'm not sure if this imaginary game needs any more zoners, but with all of the potential donuts at his disposal, a zoner seems like a pretty good option for him. I feel like Munchkins could be a fast, high projectile like Reptile's acid spit, he could roll some glazed donuts for some low projectiles, and maybe he could squirt some jelly from the jelly fill to hold his opponents in place or create a tripping hazard.
I don't think you're ready for this jelly.
No one's ever ready for Michelle's jelly.
I could see his trait being summoning an oven to prepare more baked goods. Depending on the button command, you can load it with dough for muffins, bagels, or fancy donuts. After you load them, a timer will start, and then he can pull these special foods to use as projectiles from the oven when the timer's up. The muffins could be like Harley Quinn's cupcake bombs, since muffins are like the cousins of cupcakes. Maybe the bagels could be like a fast reflect move, and the fancy eclairs? I'm thinking like a temporary close-up weapon to make him rush down for a short period of time. Make him like batons. I can also envision him having a super move like Arthur's Goddess Bracelet Super in Marvel vs. Capcom, where Fred would throw as many different kinds of donuts as he can in succession for one sweet barrage of projectiles.
Donut Drinksman! Hyper Combo KO! You win!
Time to make the donuts.
The Noid was a mascot from the 80s and 90s for Domino's Pizza, where this claymation creepy dude dressed as a rabbit for some reason would come up with these crazy contraptions and attempt to ruin pizza. His moveset should be easy to come up with since he has a device that can do anything, except taint the pristine taste and design of Domino's Pizza. Their ingredients already do that. Ha-cha-cha!
That's not fair. They fixed their recipe.
I feel we need to go full anime fighter with him. He has technology, science, and magic at his disposal. He's mastered the elements like fire and ice, and he has a big-ass laser. Everyone loves lasers in fighting games. He even has a max power switch to that laser, meaning this man can do a full-on... I actually feel Donovan from Darkstalkers would fit him since that man also had everything. Remember when he summoned a giant foot from the heavens? The Noid can summon a giant fist from the sky to crush you. And instead of Donovan's Iron Maiden sword, the Noid can hop on his Pizza Crusher. He can go all Yoshimitsu with the Pogo Stick sword. Maybe he can place the Pizza Crusher all around the screen as his trait and jump off it or have it hop back to him doing damage on the return, like Lychee's pole in Blaze Blue. I've never been to a Carl's Jr. or Hardee's, but whenever people rank fast food places, they always appear on those lists, so why not put their star mascot in the game? I guess it would play like a short character, like a Beautiful Joe, where it has some high-octane command rushes, charging at the opponent at high speeds. I could also see it having a boomerang projectile, mostly because I could imagine it throwing itself as a boomerang, and that's really all I have for it. Unless... how about we blow our imaginary budget on the celebrity cameo in this entry and have the star team up with Paris Hilton? If there's any advertisement this chain is known for, it's that Paris Hilton car wash burger ad from the mid-2000s. She could be like Rosalina and Luma with the star, or the star could just be a little buddy super move like Felicia's Kitty Helper, and Paris can just be the default Carl's Jr. fighter.
I'm going to suggest that she could have kind of an evasive tactic using the soap of the card, like slip away, slide off.
So I was gonna say, I hope that there's a fight between her and Colonel Sanders where her head gets impaled on the cane like in House of Wax.
I was gonna say, we gotta get a House of Wax reference in there. That one movie she was in and also had Stutterfly in it, which is really cool.
I was listening to Gun in Hand the other day.
Oh, yeah.
Little Caesar has his weapon set, so his moveset should be simple. He has a spear, so just give him a playstyle like Song Mina or Keelik from Soul Calibur. Good distance on his pokes with some wind-up. And he can put a slice of pizza on the end of his spear like on the logo for his trait. It can just act as a temporary power boost when the pizza's there. Nothing too fancy for him, he's not much of a fancy guy.
So my idea is that when his meter is full, we call it going crazy bread.
Crazy bread.
I love that.
And then when his crazy meter is full, he can get a temporary powerful weapon, which would be nunchucks like Maxie's made of crazy bread, where the stretchy cheese inside acts as the chain that holds the sticks together.
Excellent.
Jeez. What are they teaching you kids these days?
Jack in the Box doesn't really have a signature product that comes to mind, it's just a bunch of varied fast food staples. Because of that, I could see him being one of those characters that has a mix of moves from other characters, like Doral or Double or Seth. For example, he'll offer you his own burger, he'll throw his own nuggets, he'll use his own tacos.
Yeah, he definitely has the taco projectile, but they're definitely not as good as the Chihuahua's tacos or Crunchwrap.
No quiero Taco Bell.
Yeah, so? You're a dog. It's not like dogs are picky.
He's got a lot for breakfast too, so I guess we should add some eggs to his moveset.
I love the eggs. The eggs make me so happy.
Come to think of it, he kinda does look like classic Seth from Street Fighter 4.
Is he an ice cream?
No?
Is that not what he is?
No, he's just like a standard Jack in the Box.
Yeah, but like, what's the thing on the side of his head?
It's just his hat.
It's a hat?
It can also be a hat.
Weird. Why is it like on the side? Whatever.
It's
because he's kooky, okay?
Yeah,
He's moe, okay. He's so moe. He wears a little hat on the side of his head with a string.
Yeah, he's a clown, so he murders people.
Yeah, that smile ain't fooling anyone.
The panda from the Panda Express logo could play just like Panda from Tekken, and that's really all I got for it. Rounding out the roster, we have the Arbys glove. This specific mascot wasn't the most prolific one, but I could imagine him inflicting status conditions where you get the Arbys logo over your head like in the ads. The color of the logo can change depending on what the status is, like health or strength reduction. It can be like how Valentine's syringes change the color of the opponent depending on the poison.
The Arby's glove and the Hamburger Helper mascot look too much alike. They're gonna fight someday. Perhaps Hamburger Helper could be a DLC. Hamburger Helper only helps those who can hamburger help themselves.
Also, I love the concept of an Arby's employee putting on the glove as a super move and just laying the smack down with the glove hand.
Level 4! Combo KO! You win!
I really need to get home now.
And with that, I think we've reached a pretty good starting roster for this imaginary fighting game. So what did you think of our movesets? Which were your favorite parts and what would you add? Who are some other fast food mascots that you'd include? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this fighting game concept, we've done this with other properties in the past, including Yu-Gi-Oh!, Adult Swim shows, Batman Beyond, and Doki Doki Literature Club. So check out some of those discussions. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and we will see you in the next video.